In today's video, we're going to talk about solving quadratics by taking the square roots. First thing we want to do is start with a warning. This method only works for select binomials. It does not work for every single binomial, and it does not work for trinomials. These binomials must contain a quadratic or an x squared term and a constant term. It's the only things you can have in order to solve by square roots. So let's talk about the steps. Step 1 is to set the quadratic term equal to the constant term and then solve for x squared. So you probably want to fix that typo. It should say quadratic and not linear. Again, there are no linear terms. So your format should be x squared is equal to c, and c is some constant. Notice there is no coefficient on the x squared. You want to be solved just for x squared. Step 2 is to make sure that c is positive. So we want this constant here to be positive. If that's negative, then you're going to report no solutions or no real solutions as your answer, and you're done. Step 3 is solve by taking the square root of both sides. Report the positive and negative square roots as your answers. So there will be two answers. One is a positive root and one is a negative root. So for example 1, I have a squared equals 95. This is already in the format x squared or a squared is equal to c. I have a positive constant and just a squared term on the left. So I'm going to solve by taking the square root of both sides. The square root of a squared is a, and that's equal to the square root of 95, or 9.747, and that's rounded to the nearest thousandth. So we do want to report both the positive and negative roots, so we can do that by adding a plus or minus out in front. So our answer would be a equals plus or minus 9.747. All right, example 2, I have a coefficient on the r squared, so I want to go ahead and get rid of that and divide both sides by 16. So that gives me r squared is equal to 36 over 16. I'm going to take the square root of both sides, so that gives me r is equal to square root of 36 over 16 is the same as the square root of 36 over the square root of 16. So the square root of 36 is 6, and the square root of 16 is 4. I can simplify that fraction to 3/2, so my final answer would be r equals plus or minus 3/2. Okay, example 3. If you notice, I have some constant terms on both the left and the right side, so I want to move all the constant terms to the right side. So I'm going to go ahead and add 9 on both sides of the equal sign. So this gives me 7n squared is equal to negative 91 plus 9, which would be negative 82. And then I can divide both sides by 7. So I have n squared is equal to negative 11.7143. Ahead and round that. If we notice here, I have a negative constant, so I cannot take the square root of both sides because I can't take the square root of a negative number. So I'm going to report no real solutions as my answer. Okay, example number 4, last example. I have a constant on the left and the right side, so I'm going to go ahead and subtract 6 from both sides here. So it gives me 2v squared is equal to 24 minus 6, which is 18. Divide both sides by 2. And I have v squared is equal to 18 divided by 2, or 9. I take the square root of both sides. I have v is equal to plus or minus 3.